So welcome, 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 our brilliant and beloved brother Chuks. We so appreciate your remarkable leadership and consistent solidarity. And as always at Setsi, we begin all things by giving thanks to our creator, by giving thanks to the original stewards the various lands are on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we learn, build, and share together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, Chuks, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers and share a bit about your remarkable work?
Yeah, sure, no problem. My name is Chuks Onwuachi. I'm a husband, my father. I also, I work for government as well. So I also have a not-for-profit as well. Get into a little bit of that, but starting off by, I have to say that, one of my best jobs is being a father. I have three beautiful kids. Doing that work is really, really life-changing. It definitely changes your perspective on how you move around the community, but recognizing that there's a lot of things that you've learned throughout your past that you can help to impart onto your future generation. So I'm just trying to be able to be able to do things within my wheelhouse, right? That while here on the earth, to be able to impact change for the Black community. So just starting off, I wanted to say that, but also talk about a little bit about the work that I've done and I'm doing right now. So I've had a pretty lengthy career in the public service. So it's about 14, I think it's 14 years now. Really trying to, obviously starting off, I was really a young buck just trying to get a paycheck and recognizing that I'm in Ottawa. Government is the lay of the lands, but as time went on, I was working in public services and procurement Canada, doing annual reporting and performance measurement, and recognizing that there was a lot of systemic issues when we're talking about lack of career progression, representation, mental health that exists for Black employees, and knowing that I could be and that could easily happen to me because I was also had personally had a lot of issues, not to say like they're challenging issues, but at least I had people around me to kind of help me and guide me throughout my career. But there was a lot of other people within the sphere or within government that didn't have the resources or adequate supports around them. So we recognize that there was, obviously, this systemic anti-Black racism that exists within the federal system, and recognizing that it does impact Black communities disproportionately. We have a lot of unique barriers that we face, and that which can definitely impact our careers moving forward. So I recognize that, and many of us, one of us actually came up with the idea of starting the Federal Black Employee Caucus. So it's a caucus specifically to address mental health, career challenges. I'm recognizing that we couldn't necessarily work within this system to actually address those issues. We had to kind of leave, or not like work outside or operate outside the government to really start to affect change and really advocate for issues. And with the help of community and community networks, and we were able to establish the organization. And from that, that we were able to have a lot of conversations about anti-Black racism, some of the injustices that exist within the system, with deputy heads and people that have decision-making power, right, to be able to make those necessary changes. So we were doing a lot of that work. We started the organization, and that kind of dovetailed the work, and gave me kind of like I guess more or less like wanting to pivot my career to kind of focusing on our issues within our community. So recognizing that we have a lot of systemic problems. So why am I going to be in this system, not trying to align my career to helping my people, right? Helping us to find, obviously to grow within the system. So I kind of really focused or pivoted my career to just really focusing on, issues specific to the Black experience. So then, that kind of dovetailed into the work that I was doing with ESTC, working for the Supporting Black Canadians, realizing that they're the most disadvantaged, right? When we're talking about, providing funding or to charities and not-for-profits. So obviously that work that I was doing kind of dovetailed into my not-for-profit work. So right now, currently, I'm leading a not-for-profit organization called the Brotherhood Coalition. So we started back in 2020. So it was a vision to really bring together like-minded Black men and boys who are really focused on, taking actionable steps to kind of collectively improve our, our social economic challenges, regardless of our limitations, because we know that once we are working together to affect our change, we're more powerful that way instead of doing it single-handedly. So we develop, we have a lot of things that we do together. So we learn together, we promote business ideas. We talk about like training and seeking opportunities. We increase awareness of employment opportunities, but we give constant and critical feedback too as well. Sometimes, holding each other accountable for the work that we do and the things that we do within society, right? To have that person to kind of fall back on and give that advice and recommendations, and that work has really been ongoing. It's really been helping me to really establish work within the community, outside of the work, outside of the government stuff that I've been doing, and then obviously I am also passionate about real estate as well. So we do have a real estate company, but recognizing that, like I was saying, I wanted to really focus on, improving our community and focusing on ways of being able to provide access, but also, a sense of legacy for people within our community. So real estate was one other mechanism that we wanted to do. So recognizing that we were also in a housing crisis, and with the housing crisis that disproportionately impacts BIPOC communities, especially black communities. Me and my wife started our real estate company and pivoted to providing development opportunities. So we bought a piece of land. We're looking at having developing a 5-unit development unit right now, and recognizing that like I said, we're in a housing crisis, but affordability is usually a huge problem. So we want to make sure that we're providing our property is going to be aligned to affordable housing, and targeting Black and other racialized tenants to be able to house in that property. So with that work, kind of dovetailed back into government, which I'm doing right now. And I am, a senior strategy advisor working with the Black Executive Network. So, with FBEC, with SBCCI, with the work that I did with real estate, with my not-for-profit, kind of, went into that work within the federal space. And, we've been here since we're an organization that's been, we formed back in 2020. To really support and increase the representation of Black executives within the federal public service, while also working with government to address, systemic anti-Black racism. So we really, we're focusing, our organization does consist of Black executives, so EX1 to all the way up to deputy minister. We have over 100, I think it was like 90 members across the country. We have various working priorities as well. Recognizing, obviously talking about talent management, talking about mental health. We also do a partnership and engagement working group. And then we really want to be able to focus on the research and data component, recognizing that helps us be able to identify the gaps and the issues within the system. So, that is a keen interest of us as well. And, we really try to be the kind of the voice of the Black executive community, ensure that they're heard within decision-making tables, and collaborating on issues that are really facing Black talent, really enhancing policy development to kind of meet the needs of all public servants. So we're really in that space, and it's been a journey, a whole lot of work, and a whole host of things that I've done. But like I said, like, I'm really focusing on, ensuring that our community is sound and supported, and the necessary things, whether it be in government or outside of government. I always want to make sure that I'm trying to better, support our community. So, that's kind of like a history of the work that I've been doing.
An incredible body of work, working with the feds, working with ESDC to support Black Canadian community initiatives, the work that you're doing in the nonprofit space with the Brotherhood Collective, the real estate work that you're doing around affordable housing for constituents, and now this remarkable executives network within the. This is remarkable, my brother. So once I applaud your leadership, your tenacity, your transparency, and your clear commitment to our community. So my next question: what's inspiring you right now? What has you curious, or what's keeping you up at nights?
Man, honestly, like it really has like a lot of things. I'm really focusing on the not-for-profit space. Like I know that I've been in government for about 14 years. And I'm realizing that there's only so much impact I can do within that environment. I'm thinking, like the challenges have been there, whether they be within the system, within, different departments, within HR groups, within other just forms, there's the challenges are existing within the federal system. And I felt right now I'm in a space where I feel that most of the skills and most of the things that I want to be able to do needs to be done outside of government. And so I'm trying to figure out how to do that transition right now, recognizing that the government pays the bills and they bring in the check, but I think that I would have more of an impact doing my real estate stuff, doing more of the community, the brotherhood stuff. And so right now I'm trying to make sense of those two and trying to figure out how to kind of coalesce or work in those spaces, because there is so much activity that I'd like to be able to do. And sometimes, your 9 to 5 takes away from your energy level, right? And so I'm recognizing that I could be more of use in the community. I kind of want to pivot that way. So I think that's really what's keeping me up at night is really understanding how to kind of transition if I wanted to, like how to effectively do that, and making sure that like I can still support my family, but also be able to provide supports to other Black communities within Canada, and ensuring that I'm being more effective in terms of the things and the efforts that I want to be able to do. I'm doing that within the community, right? So I think that's right now my biggest concern. But I'm hoping that eventually we'll start to see some gains, right? We start to see some gains within the federal space too. We have already, there's different policies that have been implemented in government. The call to action, talking about the needs to develop and appoint Black and Indigenous employees to leadership positions. The forward direction, talking about the measurement aspect and ensuring that there's accountability and towards the call to action. Obviously the United Nations Decade for People of African Descent that Canada committed back in 2018. To really, highlight some of the underlying issues that Black Canadians are facing within Canada, underpinning the focus on the collection of disaggregated data. So there's a lot of policy-driven things that have happened over the course of 2018 and 2017, and a lot of community folk that have been driving these issues outside of government, but also within government. And you cannot obviously you gotta tip their hat to those people, because they are the force behind all of this work. And I just want to be able to be in a space where I'm contributing in an effective manner to that. And I'm just thinking that there's other ways of being able to do that. And I think maybe right now I'm kind of leaning towards the community space, but just wondering how to do that and how to do that and to build those right connections.
Yeah, well, I think you're doing it already, and you're making
Yeah.
those steps. And once again, I couldn't agree more. When you think about some of the policies around the collection of high quality disaggregated demographic data, the things around the UN Decade for People of African Descent and making it permanent, or even the permanent forum work that happened in New York, there's so many leaders within governments from the African Canadian community and the global Black diaspora that contributed. And a lot of times I think that politicians get a lot of praise, but there's senior and junior bureaucrats behind the scenes that are pushing policy and driving innovation. So once again, it's definitely important to give those folks their flowers when we can. So it leads me to my second last question. What does success look like to you and your colleagues, and how do you feel about the work that's coming up in front of you? Because I can hear a sense of urgency and agency as it relates to transitioning into more of an impactful role in community that's different from the way you've been doing it in the past. And I think all your work has been impactful. Just to be clear.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And like success, I don't know, like success to me is, I want our community to be heard, to be seen, to feel safe, to be on equal level with other equity groups, but also just to be given, the right due, right? Like we want to be treated fairly. I think that's really what it comes down to. I want my kids to be able to grow up in an environment that they can feel seen, right? They can be able to have equal opportunity to contribute to the growth of Canada without having to always run the race with a dumbbell on them, right? Or something like that, right? They're always having there's always barriers in front of us as Black community, right? I don't want those barriers to exist anymore for us, right? And so and like I don't know, like I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see it within my lifetime, but at the same time, like I'm trying to do my part, right? Like I want to leave this earth knowing that I did what I needed to do. I contributed in a way that helped my community. I want them people to say that I did that, right? Like I don't want to be standing idle by while people within our community are suffering. And that was one of the reasons why like I started the brotherhood, right? Like I knew I saw like after George Floyd, there was like a void of discussions around, even with me and my friend group. I had like 11 of us. We had a chat, and it wasn't really a big talking point, right? Like we didn't really know how to talk about what would happen and how we are viewed within the greater society as Black men, right? And and then sometimes it's just a lack of transparency, a lack of being able to talk about what's actually happening within our psyche, right? Like I was trying to have discussions with my son about it, and it was very difficult. Like I didn't really know how to explain to him what had happened, what he'd seen, and what he'd heard in class, and what he's seeing on social media about this Black man pretty much getting murdered on in a video, and like what does that mean for him as a young Black boy, right? Like I was having difficulties having those conversations, and I needed people around me to kind of talk about those things, right? And there was a void of that. I didn't have that, right? I was searching, but I didn't really have Black male groups to kind of talk about these issues in an open manner and try to figure out how to heal. And I was just tired of having all these negative perceptions about us, and whether it be in the music industry and mental and in the health industry and in the justice system. I was just tired. I'm tired of having to always having to be this Black man, and having to watch my back when I'm driving down the highway, and if I'm in a nice car, it can be pulled over by police. Like I'm just tired. I want to be able to take action. So that's why I really started the brotherhood, and wanting to like really bring us together to try to find some solutions and try to be able to work together, but also to heal together, right? Like I didn't want us to always just talk about what we can do in terms of action, but there's a lot of healing that has to happen. And sometimes it's being able to have conversation with your brother can really bring about that kind of healing. So yeah, I just wanted to be able to create something. So it was all about actions, right? Like actions and healing, right? And I'm hoping that the success that just the things I've been doing, it will lead to success, and just not just for my lifetime, but for my son's lifetime and after my son, right? So I want to be able to have legacy for him as well and his kids. So I'm hoping that I'm doing that, but we'll see how it goes.
Indeed, you're doing it, my brother. You're doing it. You make our ancestors proud, and I couldn't agree more. The sense of solidarity that's needed in all communities is so important. I remember when I was younger being part of the Malvern men's group,
Boom.
It was founded by one of my brothers, Vidal, Chavan.
Mm,
It's remarkable work. And there's quite a few brothers that founded it. So I don't want to, I'm not
mm,
missing out names, but I remember Brother Vidal, my brother, Francis Vidal, Farley Flex is
mm.
his brother who passed away, God rest his soul. But it was
Man.
such an inspiring place to be able to go and heal as brothers,
Yeah,
to be able to build and reason around things that we couldn't discuss in any other place.
exactly.
So once again, I think that every demographic, every group, every person needs that space to be able to heal and vent,
Mm,
share, build, and learn. So once again,
mm.
I just applaud your leadership and all that you do for so many. So my last question, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our listeners and our viewers?
Yeah, I know. I think one of the biggest things, obviously talking about, like, obviously I'm into real estate, knowing that, we definitely need, more housing, for BIPOC tenants, especially. I was just talking a little bit about the Brotherhood Coalition. So we're actually looking at doing a conference in June. So we're going to be, it's like a Black Males and Excellence Conference, kind of focusing on obviously recognizing that financial management and just financial literacy in general is usually really super important. Obviously helping you be able to have an understanding of how to budget, how to save, but also to invest and where to put your money in this day and age where everything like expenses are skyrocketing. I think we're couching it under the whole idea of black male empowerment too as well, and wanting to be able to bring together Black men to kind of talk about our issues, but also being in a space where we can learn and grow, right? But also bridging in the younger generation with the older generation. So we're hoping to be able to have like an elders group as well to kind of be there too, to kind of talk to the young bucks, talk about some of their flaws and some of the issues and generate some good conversation. So yeah, that'll be in June the 29th. So maybe I'll have some material, some promotional material that I can help. You can help us kind of like spread the word on that. But yeah, just in terms of making sure that we stay safe during these times, and making sure that we're put family first. I think is one of the critical things. I'm a family guy, like I said. Yeah, so I think those are kind of like the two main things, and just obviously take action where possible. I think is don't stand idle by. If you see a particular issue, particularly with the community that we have, like if you see a gap, try to fill it, because I'm trying to do that right now, and recognizing I saw the void with Black males, so I want to be able to fill that void. But also, if you can take it to your 9 to 5, I think that's also important too, because I wanted to focus on my federal government career, and kind of pivot towards focusing on our community. So if there's options of being able to do that, if you have the means to do that, I think it's definitely powerful. And using your voice, something you're doing, Victor, very well, is using your voice, your platform, to advocate for certain issues, to amplify people's voices. I think that's so super critical. So I think if everyone's doing that, and just doing it in a way that's positive, I think that's also really, 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 really critical thing that I'd like to leave your listeners with.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. But that's Papa. Thank you so much, my for your
No
remarkable
problem.
leadership and diligence, tenacity, and the remarkable authenticity you bring to this work. And as always, at Setsi, we close the way we began this interview, this conversation, by giving thanks to our creator, by giving thanks and acknowledging the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Thank you so much, my brother. I appreciate your leadership.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much for being here. I just really thank you for the opportunity, and hope to see you guys again.